What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WPblab. This week, it's Thursday. As always, it's 7:30. It's time for us to get the show going. Bridget, we got a pretty cool show lined up, don't we? I think it's going to be pretty interesting. So tonight, we're going to be talking about where to start with WordPress SEO. SEO is one of those kind of scary words. I kind of think of it as black magic. And so hopefully we're going to get these two people to hop on the show, explain a lot of stuff about it. We're going to have John Locke and we're going to have William Bay on, and they're going to talk about SEO stuff. So we're going to be going from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you go over to the left-hand side, click on the little button there that says share on Twitter or share on Facebook, and we'd be more than happy to get your friends and folks and family and whatever to hop on and learn about WordPress SEO and stuff. Before we begin, we have a kind of an interesting thing here that we're going to do that we have never done before, and we're curious how this is going to work out.
Giveaway.
So we're going to be doing a give ... away. And so what we're going to do with giveaway is if you go over to WPwatercooler.com/giveaway, you can go on there and you'll see our awesome model over on the right-hand side there. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to have some instructions on how to do this. So step one is you want to click on the link. You want to click on the first link, and you're gonna subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. Step two is you're going to ask other people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we're going to be tracking those. And so what we're going to do is we're going to select 3 people at random. And if there's only 3 of you, we totally understand. But if we're going to pick 3 people at random, and they're going to hop on, and they're going to hit the little subscribe button on YouTube, and then from there we'll look at Twitter, see who who actually participated. We'll pick 3 of you guys from random, and we will contact you. The Twitter account that'll be contacting you is at WPblab. That's going to be the Twitter account. They'll message you and ask you for all your informations. So there you have it, folks. All right, so let's get started.
So you need to follow WPblab so they could direct message you.
Oh, darn. I guess they have to do that too.
Aw, shucks. That's kind of sneaky of us.
Exactly. Man, that's awesome. All right, so make sure you go do all those things, and we'll, at the end of the show, we'll also tell you as well, and then we'll do a quick little giveaway and go from there. All right, so let's go and have John Locke and William Bay hop on again, and then we can get this show going. So, guys, feel free to hop on, and we will make all these things happen here. Sweet.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Sorry, we had to get a little bit of that housekeeping out of the way and see if we can do a little bit of a cool giveaway.
Right on.
We've never done that before. Why not, right?
Fun times.
Yeah.
What happened to John Locke?
He takes a little bit.
Oh, is he? There he is.
He's hopping on. Sweet.
It's John Locke.
So if you guys have never used Blab before, on the left-hand side is the links to share on Facebook and share on Twitter. On the right-hand side is the place where people will be hopping on and chatting and stuff. And what's really weird about the 7:30 time slot is that we have people that show up at 8 o'clock. Like, they just show up at 8 o'clock for no apparent reason. So you'll think, wow, why hasn't anybody showed up yet? And it takes about 15 minutes for people to go like, oh, I should go check that out. And so you'll see that they'll hop on and start watching. After this, we'll be posting this over onto YouTube, so feel free to go watch it at a later date if you need to step away or whatever. We'll be tweeting all about that stuff then.
So should we just talk about the latest episode of Game of Thrones or something until
No.
people actually show up?
No, there will be dragons.
Good, because I don't watch it. I would have like no clue. I'd be like, winter is coming.
Right, there will be dragons. Sweet. Hey, John, how about you tell us a little bit about you, what you do, what your business does, and kind of give us the little 30-floor sales elevator sales pitch, and kind of tell us what you got going on.
Sure. My business is just straight up client services. I do business as lockdown design. I serve mostly small businesses, but I also do white labeling for larger agencies. Basically, I build custom WordPress themes and help people with their sites. And basically, it helps a lot of people with their local SEO and sometimes e-commerce. There you go.
Awesome. And what about you, William? What do you got going on over there?
I do the same thing. That's
What?
like, yeah.
What a coincidence!
Mostly, what a coincidence. Yeah, I actually, I do a little bit of SEO services, mostly on site. And I'm putting together some templates for photographers. I have a lot of photographers as clientele, and it's actually, I think all the world is just becoming photographers now, right? Like that's the only occupation that exists now. Is that?
Well, there used to be social media gurus, and I think they all turned into photographers.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened.
Social media gurus.
And real,
Not the
and
ones that
real
actually have
estate
guru
agents.
in their Twitter handle. Not those people. Those are the legit ones.
I'll change it to
Yeah.
Sherpa.
Sherpa, yeah. You too can be Sherpa.
I carry all of your data over to the interweb. Oh man, cool.
Yeah, then
So you guys both do the same type of work.
You have to specialize in migration.
Yeah,
at that point.
exactly. WPSherpa.com. Somebody buy it.
I remember there is a Sherpa something or other in the WordPress space. I do remember that.
Oh man,
Wouldn't surprise me.
I just
Yeah,
joked
yeah.
and it actually happened. That's even worse.
Like just pull out a dictionary, WP, fill in the blank, right?
Pretty much.
Oh boy. Well, there is a WordPress Sherpa.
No
Check
way.
that out.
Yeah.
Sherpa WP.
Behold.
Yep. There is for the show notes here. I'll pop it in the. Here we go. Awesome.
And don't even tell anyone what it is. Just leave it in the show notes.
SEO
Exactly.
WP
Little
Sherpa.
little Easter egg. Little Easter egg for you.
So where do people, like, when you first go and meet up with a client? It's a potential client. It's not even a full client yet, and you're doing some discovery work for them. Maybe you've already been hired and you're starting to do some discovery work. What's the first things that you're doing here that you're looking SEO wise at their site? Their site looks beautiful, everything's working well, but like they're just not getting the hits to their site. What are you looking for, and what are you going to end up telling them? Who wants to take that?
After you.
Okay. So first off, when people usually are suffering, like in Google, the most common things that I hear are, hey, 5 or 10 years ago, we were kicking butt in Google. We were number one, and now we're not. And can you help us? And most of the time, their site isn't looking. I mean, their site might be okay. Their site is not usually amazing looking. It's usually okay. Sometimes it's not great. So the first things I do is like look, kind of just look at the whole picture of like what's going on with their site. And that's looking at, like content keywords, looking at like how their pages are, what did it look like in the past that was helping it rank that's different from today, looking at all their competitors, seeing what they're doing and seeing how much ground that they have to gain, and doing, the usual audits of like, is this mobile friendly? What's the page speed like? How many backlinks do you have? And usually a lot of the time these people are almost always, 99% of the time, they're also spending a truckload of money on AdWords, or Bridget, you're probably familiar with this. They're spending money on Hometown to buy leads if they're in some sort of construction or remodeling industry. But they're almost always spending a truckload of money on that form of marketing, like straight up ads, because they don't know how to get organic search underway. So I usually just get all that together, put it together in a report and say, this is where you're at. And, where you want to be is like over here. And kind of here's like my suggestions and recommendations for getting you from here to there.
And so is a lot of that stuff that you're writing up, is that things that you're expecting the client to do? Is that something that you're going to be doing? Is it kind of 50-50 split? Like where are you at? Is it rewriting content to get it to work right? What are we looking at here?
So most small businesses, if I can get them to write like a blog post a month, that's usually like, more than like I can get most of the time.
Wow. Once a month?
Yeah, rots a ruck, exactly. But that's a sad reality. Most small business owners are knee deep in their business. Now, like, say if they're like at the middle level and they have like, there's some people that do recognize like, hey, like blogging is important, podcasting, making videos, and most everyone that I talk to does recognize that. But they always say don't have time and just make me rank. And that's usually what it comes down to. So
if I buy it, they will come.
Yeah, and the biggest challenge is getting people. But here's the thing that really kills me about this. They won't sit down and write, like one page of like information. It's like pulling teeth. But if you sit down and talk to them, like face to face, and just talk to them about their industry, they're always knowledgeable. They have so much information that just comes pouring out of them. And usually I say, just pick up your phone, hit the, notes or the record, and just like, like we're doing right now, and just record your thoughts about stuff. And, and then just make that into a blog post or have somebody write it down. The content is usually the last thing that people that like any like freelancer, client, agency, whatever usually deals with. But it's the hardest thing. And I really, really, truly feel it's the thing that should go first, but almost never is. So
weird. So weird how people, they assume that things are going to work a certain way. Like I got my 16-year-old kid to build me a website. And now I can't get this thing to rank worth a darn. Or, we wrote this in third grade English. Like, none of this makes any sense. Or they're not hitting the right keywords, or they're not, all this sort of stuff. And it's just weird that people think that way, that they just kind of build it. You build a website, you build a mobile app, you build this, you build that, and then people just show up to it with no advertising, no marketing, no magic, no SEO juice.
Oh, God. Did you say that just for me, Jason?
Of course I did.
Juice, SEO.
People really hate that term. I'm not sure why.
I know, I love it.
I'm at the forefront of the people like trying to ban that term.
I love it. I use it every time I can, because it's almost like it's a way of detecting the SEO people that are in the room by saying it, because they all just kind of go like, "Oh, jeez, are you kidding me?"
Like we just got it all over us.
Oh man!
I just got an SEO juice facial. Ah!
Oh my God.
But yeah, SEO juice. That's totally what I say, because that's definitely the way to kind of determine who's doing SEO stuff and who's not. Because you got those like underground SEO people where they're just like, oh, I don't just build websites. I also do this and this and this. And yeah, it's fun to uncover them.
Let's have you replace that term with page authority. Or domain authority. How about that?
It doesn't sound weird. It needs to sound just weird enough. So people go like,
Such
what?
an instigator.
Yeah. I got to make sure I rank good on Alta Vista.
Oh my God.
There you go. Yeah.
So what about you, William? Where do you begin with this? And where you've got a new client. What are you doing?
I'm just like John Locke. No, I'm kidding. All my answers are just gonna be like just exactly like him.
I'll ask you first next time.
Yeah. I'll defer. So what I like to do is analytics right off the bat. I like to see because a lot of times the clients, small business owners, they really don't understand all this. So I kind of like to know where we're at. I kind of like to know with the search that they're getting, what kind of volumes they get on different pages that they have. See if there's anything that we could leverage. And then I go into like looking at how the site's structured and what terms they, kind of are leaning towards on each of their pages, if they have something that we can leverage there as well. And then I'll go from there. And then with small business owners, I like to, it's keyword research for small business owners isn't too, especially when you're dealing with like photographers and stuff, it's not that hard to do. There's your big head terms that that they all really want to rank for. And then what I like to do is educate them in like the long tail stuff, and that's what I push them to use for blog posts if they do blog. But a lot of times they're really going for those big head terms like such and such city photographer, or in the case of like small business owners, like lawyer in the central city, downtown, San Diego or something like that. So.
Right.
Go for that, and then it's education. Like, okay, in your blog post, this is, these are the things that you want to be hitting. And I talk to them about long-term keywords, and I actually have a system. I try to put people through like a video tutorial where it coaches them all the way through the content creation for their sites, including the blog posts. And then a lot of that's geared towards, okay, what do you put in your blog post title? What do you put in the Yoast SEO title? How often do you want to be recurring keywords, and what should those keywords be? Because that's the hard part for a lot of people when they're blogging. It's like, should I focus on something? What should that be? How often should I use it? Where does it need to go? That's when you're talking about on-site SEO, that's really the critical part that people don't understand is, where does it go? How often? What am I even talking about? What's a keyword? So, getting them to understand that, they can take off and run with it. But yeah, everything for me starts at analytics. Yeah. If they don't have any background, I don't know how many people come to their site based off of search. I know how to start a site from scratch, but I'd like to know who's coming to your site from where, and what type of terms do we already have.
It's kind of that baseline data, just so you can see what things are actually changing after the fact. So is Google Analytics the only thing that, are both of you guys using just Google Analytics, or do you have other tools that you're using for any type of analytical stuff to figure out who's doing what where on the sites?
I'll use Moz. I'll use the Moz tools. And for anyone that doesn't know that, that's, they can get the Moz bar, the Moz toolbar that goes across your browser. So you can see how many, people are linking to your site, which we can get into this a little bit later, but like how many sites are linking to you, creating that authority. Thanks for posting that. And then analytics. Yeah, I haven't used any other analytics tools except Google, so I couldn't speak to. I know there's other ones out there.
What about you, John? What are you guys using?
Definitely Google Analytics is a must, but I lean pretty heavily on Google Search Console as well, because there's information in there that is just a little bit more straightforward to read than in Analytics. I also use like Moz. Especially the Moz Local. I'll use the Open Site Explorer. Ahrefs is a good resource as well to kind of check out like a backlink profile, see where people are getting their authority. So those are all good tools.
Nice.
Have either one of you ever encountered clients who don't have Google Analytics set up on their sites?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Always.
It's crazy.
Or totally configured inaccurately and wrongly, and it's like, why is this? What? You haven't had any hits since like 1983? What?
What are you guys using to install those? Let's say you have a site that doesn't have them installed yet. Are you just doing it manually in the theme? Are you doing it with the plugin? Which plugins are you guys using?
The Yoast Analytics tool changed too? Who is it bought that? Monster?
Syed
Yeah.
Balki.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll use that for configuring the Google Analytics, and then the Yoast SEO plugin has the Webmaster, or they call it the search module, right? Now
They just changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I know.
I still call it Webmaster Tools, but it's the search console. Yeah.
I know that
Yeah.
some
What about
theme
you?
people like put it in their PHP files.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine if you're like a developer and you're the only one that's going to touch it ever.
Yeah.
But for user,
Or if the things change, that's what ends up happening a lot of times is they'll put static content into the site that the entire back end of something changes. There's new requirements that are set up, what have you, and then you're like, oh, great, now I can't get, I don't know, user demographics because I don't have that one piece turned on in there or something like that.
Or if you change your theme, all of a sudden all your data is gone. So the plugins are definitely the way to go.
But you don't hear that often. Right? But I was just...
Yeah, the also one thing to kind of be wary of is there's the plugins, and then oftentimes themes have a place to fill that information in too. So now you're duplicating data. Sometimes that actually messes up your what you see in analytics.
I just had this conversation today, and I learned that they can cancel each other out.
Yep.
They'll cancel each other out. You'll get half or double the data. It's screwy what happens with it. Yeah.
What about you, John? What do you got going on with that?
Occasionally, I'll run across the site if it's already been built. Sometimes they'll have the Yoast analytics, the Monster Analytics now already set. And if that's the case, I just leave it be. But if I'm building something brand new, I usually just manually put it in the theme in the footer. I guess maybe that's my bad.
It's you.
It is
John.
me.
Ruining my
I am the culprit. I am totally the culprit.
Where are you at 10 p.m. on October 14th?
I think there's a good reason to have something like that in a plugin, just so the plugin gets updated, and that if anything, the user will go in 3 years from now if they've ditched you as a client, the company got bought by somebody else, who knows what happens. The person goes there and goes, update plugins, and then they update all the plugins, and hopefully it doesn't white screen and everything's good to go.
Yeah, sometimes people change jobs.
Yeah. What about you, Bridget? What were you guys doing over at the construction place when you were doing this stuff? What was your tactic to this?
Tracker.
Yeah.
So I was friends with I still am, but in my little inner circle is an SEO lady. Maybe you guys know her. Her name is Pam Ungst. I don't know how popular she is. Anyway, Pan Am Marketing. Anyway, so she would just tell me stuff, and I just did what she said. And I went for the long tail keywords, and I used Google Plus, which was a good shortcut. And that's how we got found. Just being obscure, answering questions that people were actually asking. I miss being that close to the pain point to some degree. You know what I mean? Like being an office manager at the contractor, I knew what people didn't understand. So, I can't always just hang out and help scout reading Matt Cromwell support tickets. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same as knowing, what's epoxy injection? Why do I want that on my side or whatever, on my building? So, the long tail I thought was helpful, but I don't know. I wanted a clever headline. I didn't always want a Google headline. So, but now we go for longer form content and that kind of stuff. I just go for the green lights and Yoast. And I don't mind their judgment calls because personally, I liked Hemingway app for the readability. So they can call it content bad and that's not going to bother me. I like that, breaking that up. I was really glad that they did that. But it's a little controversial right now.
I always put my focus keyword as the word "the," and then it always goes green, and I'm good.
Oh my god!
I don't use the focus
All you get is
keyword.
green. You're good, right? It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's green.
Who actually? Yeah, that's probably an interesting thing to bring up is the green light.
I want the validation, William.
Chasing the green light. Now, do people know what we're talking about online? We're talking about the Yoast plugin when you're writing a post or a page, and there's that little yellow, green, or red light that pops up depending on what you've put in your focus keyword. And I'm not a fan of chasing the green light, so it drives people nuts trying to achieve the green light.
You don't have to turn on the green light.
It's the Roxanne feature. That's awesome.
Roxanne.
It seems like I remember how to play it. Let's see. I'll have to turn on my app here.
I love it. This is what happens when you hop on Blab,
Is Sting left-handed or right-handed?
I don't know. I just know he plays bass.
Yeah, is he left-handed? No, I might be thinking of Paul McCartney. Shit. So
that would be so funny to do a Yoast like Carrie Dills did with normals.
Right.
See Roxanne. Oh my god, epic!
William.
And you got to do it.
Oh man, I gotta learn about SEO so I can write the lyrics.
So you guys mentioned, and I kind of know what it is, but you guys have mentioned a few times this term long tail. Describe that. Like, what are we looking at here for this? Because I get it, but I don't 100% get it.
Why don't you, John? I always screw up the explanation.
Yeah, sure.
So why don't you take it?
So if you look at, so basically, like the long tail is talking about, if you look at like search terms, like at the top is like the head. This would be like your really broad term, like insurance or real estate or something like super broad. You're not going to be able to rank number one for this because like the hugest brands on earth are the ones that are going to be number one for this. But a long tail search would be, 3, 4, 5 words where people are typing stuff into Google. And that's actually the majority of all the searches. They're typing in like, how do I make the Yoast, how do I make Yoast turn green or something like that? Or how do I, make the white screen of death go away? Yeah, it's a whole bunch of words. It's not, it's a whole bunch of words. And so that long tail just goes on and on and on. There's like so much more like search that's more than just one generic 1 word or 2 word term. And that is where your opportunity is answering those specific questions and constructing a article that is going to answer that specific question that your customers or like other people are typing in. And if you can get in the first page, then you've got a good chance to, become, one of the top 5 or so. But it's basically just identifying common questions and then looking at what's out there as far as like answers and then creating an article that's better than everything else out there that explains it a little bit farther. That's basically it.
So do you ever start typing that question to see what appears for the suggestion?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's so the Google Instant where it gives you the kind of autocomplete. That like other people are like typing stuff in and it's giving them suggestions. So you can totally get a sense of what your long tail like keyword phrase should be by typing that in and just going, like 1 word farther, maybe back it up a word and, just try variations and see if like something comes up. And you can get kind of a sense of the best phrase to try and write a post around, like the exact thing that you would anticipate like people typing in there. And then it's just a matter of like going out, seeing like what other ones are out there. If other people have done an article like that, and or if there's none, I mean, maybe there's like an opportunity for you to be the first, usually, or not. Usually there's at least like a couple others, but it's basically just answering questions in depth. It's being helpful. And really that is 90% of SEO right now, is just being helpful to people who are seeking answers.
So what it comes down to.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat, Aaron in the chat, was saying that answerthepublic.com is a cool site for that, where you're just kind of typing in the keywords that you're searching out to try to figure out what's what. Interesting.
Very cool.
I always love clicking on links that people post into the chat. So if you find anything crazy that you want me to click on, feel free to put in there. You'll at least get one view out of it from me.
It just gave me a virus. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we got frozen. John is frozen.
Oh man.
Am
Oh,
I
I saw
frozen?
this on the. I saw this on the.
Yeah, but it's okay. We'll keep talking. You're fine. You just woke up. Video's weird on Blab. It's so weird on Blab. So let's see here. So we talked about Longtail. Like, what are people still doing, and is it still a thing to deal with descriptions, keywords, all of the old school type stuff? Is that still things that people are doing in the head of your WordPress site?
Meta description and meta keywords?
Yeah.
Meta keywords is disabled by default in Yoast. But you can still do it. I mean, you can undisable it. Enable it, I guess, would be the right word for that.
Undisable.
But are those things that are even factors anymore? Is that stuff that people should even be worrying about putting in there?
I actually heard Bing a couple of years back. They were using it as a reverse an algorithm type of a thing, where if you had meta keywords, if you had too many, they would just say, okay, this is like a totally spammy site. Boom, done. You're like out of the. I mean, I don't know how far they would kick you out, but
right.
Yeah, they would use it as a reverse algorithm against. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you have people who have been in practice and then they get out of practice. And now they're like, oh, I'm now wanting to start up a website. We get this all the time at our local WordPress meetups. We have somebody who hasn't done website stuff at all. Their last website was with like AngelFire or GeoCities or whatever, or they used to run a LiveJournal site, or they used to do whatever. And now they're like, oh, I want to get into this website thing again because I hear it's cool. And, the only thing they remember is the basics, in the head, you make sure you put in your descriptions and your keywords and all this stuff. And then they're like, why isn't my site ranking anymore? What's going on here?
And then they go, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to make white text on my white background. That's what I need to do. I need to hide my keywords.
But you still see that happen all the time. You still go to websites and you'll see these like you'll see a footer with like its own set of menus, and all of them are just keyword heavy, crazy. I'm a doctor who works in Fullerton, California. I provide these types of services, and everyone is the link, and everyone goes to a page that has all this stuff already in there.
Also, like, Whittier.
Right.
San Diego web design, Los Angeles web design. Santa Barbara web design, just on and on and on and on for like 80 years.
Right.
And then they do it with their Twitter accounts, which makes me insane. Like, you don't need that for SEO on your Twitter. Just make it one.
I think a good rule of thumb is, like, if you wouldn't say it aloud, don't put it on your site.
That's the best life advice, right? For everything.
Well,
yeah.
There was, over the past few years, Google's been, going on about brands, right? Brands has been the kind of the buzzword over the last, I don't know, since maybe 2012. And what were they talking about the whole time was establishing your business as something that people would talk about. And all right, so what does that do for you? Well, it gives you a little bit of authority in the space, right? Not only in real life and out in beyond the ether, right, but actually on the internet as well. And it gives you some clout. It gives you, like, you know, people know about you. And so Trump University, thank you, General Abel, #1. And yeah, I mean, Trump University doesn't have to do a whole lot because they're probably ranking pretty high right now, right? They don't have to do all these funky SEO tricks and, you know. And that's really what it comes down to. General Abel attended, apparently.
Oh, they had good SEO, so he found it. So
it's a great school.
Good for him.
How huge was it? How huge? So yeah, but like really, when it comes down to it, you know, I like to think of on-site as, you know, your foundation for your website. On-site SEO, get that stuff done. Boom. It's fairly easy if you think about it. I mean, you know, a lot of web developers should really get, you know, familiar with what you need to do to set up a site for basic SEO, because it's just foundational. And then the rest of it really comes down to, you know, who you are as a business. You know, are you some like San Diego, you know, weddingphotographer.com, or are you like, you know, there's, you know, a number of different photographers I could tell you in town, right? You probably wouldn't know them, but they're like big names in San Diego as far as wedding photography goes, or, you know, nationally, right? Or, you know, like Trump University, Macy's, you know, like all those companies that you have, that you're familiar with, that you rely on, all that, they have clout online, they have clout in the world. So those are going to be, you know, the bigger ranking factors.
In the chat room, Aaron's asking about AMP and how it's.
Was that your dog, AMP?
Yeah. I said its name too loud and it heard me. No, about AMP and about how Google is wanting folks to make these sites that are very lean, very mean, that are made just for, you know, getting things loaded up on mobile quickly. Have you guys looked at any of this stuff, and how are you doing that with SEO stuff, especially when it comes to like having duplicate content and pages and all that fun stuff?
Never heard of AMP. I'm going to look it up right now.
So anyway, yeah, I have done some experimentation. I have a site that is just like basically a blog. And, you know, in the past, it's had some pretty good SEO. So I set up, there's a plugin called AMP. I think it's made by either like Automatic or 10up or somebody like well-known. Anyway, set it up there. It basically strips out all the styles. So you've got just like a bare bones thing. You can like override the templates to make it what you want as far as that, but it just gives you like just bare bones style. Now, I would not recommend it for if you've got anything like e-commerce, if you've got like contact forms, if you've got anything that relies on JavaScript heavily, I wouldn't recommend it. If you've got a straight up either like news site or a blog where it's just, you know, articles and that's it on your site, then that's probably a good solution. Google, if you notice like in results, most of the stuff that they're serving up for AMP is like news sites right now. And that'll usually be like the top of the results. It will be like AMP pages for not only just like the major like publishers, but like even, you know, some of the like middle tier ones. So it is something to look into for specific things. Say if you're like a media or news or blogging site. So.
Yeah, I run a few news sites that we've been looking at it. The plugin that we've been looking at is called PageFrog, and kind of seeing how that one works. The unfortunate thing about PageFrog is that I've noticed is that they haven't been updated for about 4 months. And since I look at stuff that's like when things are being, newly released, I'm really looking to see if these plugins are being updated as quickly as possible as the technology is being updated. And when things like this, PageFrog plugin aren't being updated, it kind of scares me a little bit because it's like, well, did you guys do something wrong and it's not working right? And well, what's happening here? And that's where you look at the rating for it. It's getting 3.8 out of 5 stars. It had a lot more features than what the official AMP plugin that was done by both Automatic and a few other folks. Looking at that one, it too was only updated 3 months ago. It has a lot more installs, and I don't know. It's just weird to think it's like this new thing came out, yet it hasn't been updated at all.
Yeah, that's Google for you. They'll drop the project in about 2 years too.
Just like they did with my Google Reader.
Well, yeah. Google Plus. I mean, do you ever recommend people using that? Because that seems to help me.
Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
People still use it?
Yeah.
Actually, there is still some diehard people that use Google Plus, right?
Yeah. Everybody that uses Google Hangout because that's the only way you can interact with it.
If Google is still taking social signals as part of their ranking?
No. I mean, it's not directly. It's not one of those things that, is a direct ranking factor. Yeah, indirectly, you get people to your site, they share it, more and more people come. That's a signal, but no, not a direct ranking signal. They've experimented with it in the past, different like Twitter and they've definitely experimented with it.
So at one point, they were indexing tweets.
Yes, yeah, they were. I remember those days.
And they dropped that super fast.
That was a lot of data.
Yeah, with the social things, it depends on what they can get access to. Like they just re-signed a deal with Twitter to where they get access to the whole fire hose of information. Because I know for a while they were using Twitter and then they went away from it because they couldn't get just, the whole stream of information. But now they're working together to where like those APIs, talk to each other like better.
Oh.
Now, and I did read like last year's or this year's, if you go to like Search Engine Watch, every year they do like they consult like 50 of the top SEO consultants. And they say, what are like the top like local ranking factors? Where the top like ranking factors? What's influencing what? And one of the biggest drop-offs this year was Google Plus. Like how many people follow you? How many times was your thing shared? I do think that they're going to like kind of phase it down in the future because the original goal of Google Plus, like a lot of people feel, was to create an alternative to Facebook, and it didn't ever really get there. Though a lot of people have an account on Google Plus because they have to use it for Hangouts, they have to use it for YouTube, Gmail. It's all your Google Plus. But with the social, it's correlation, not causation. They do look at how many times like people like look. I really do believe this, and they say that it's not a direct factor. But if you look at local SEO, I really do believe that how many people like your brand page and how many times, say, like your homepage has been shared, or how many people have shared different stuff from your site on Facebook, and how many people follow your brand on Twitter, and how many people like retweet like posts from your site are brand signals to Google. And the biggest thing that they're looking at is if we have this one site where they've, tricked out, like they've said, like, San Diego web design like 500 times in their site, and they've built all these backlinks that it's like San Diego SEO, San Diego web design. Or we have this other site over here where they're like an actual big brand in San Diego and people talk about them on their own. People link to them by their brand name. People share their stuff all the time. And when people go to their blog, they leave comments and people share their stuff, not just like when it's initially published, but they, go back and share it again. Those are like definite brand signals. And that is what the social part of it is this something that like feels like a real company? This is something that feels like we can put our trust in what's coming from this site. I'll give you like just a tip, and maybe this person isn't super known like inside of like WordPress circles, but in SEO circles, he's really well known. Go follow like Wil Reynolds on Twitter. He's the CEO of Seer Interactive. He's a super smart guy about what's called real company stuff. And a lot of these local brands, they try and like game the system. I'm seeing it a lot where you might not fall off all at once, but these sites that were like number 1, 2, or 3, maybe 1 week they're number 3, and then they drop to number 4, and then they drop to number 5, and maybe they drop a little bit more. Pretty soon they're all the way out of the top 10. Pretty soon they're on page 2, and they just keep free falling because they're not doing anything to actually build a brand. They're not publishing content like you guys are right here. You're on Blab, you're on Twitter, you're writing stuff on your blog, you're sharing stuff on Facebook, you're helping people. People know who Bridget Willard is. They know You Too Can Be Guru. That's a brand. They know Jason Tucker is the host of WPwatercooler. They know that he's a person within the WordPress community. They know William Bay is the guy that's going to help photographers like set up WordPress sites and do SEO. And that's the whole key, is you have to be known for something and you have to act like a real business and not just try and pull these gimmicks and tricks, because that's not going to work.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm looking at a Seer Interactive site and checking out the stuff that they got going on over there. That was the correct links that I found, right?
This is how you know I'm over 40.
What, you write with a pen?
A pen, and I have Post-it notes.
A writing implement?
I like to victoriously crumple them up.
I just put all my hashtags on paper. That's all.
Oh
and
my
you
gosh.
show them. And you show them.
Yep.
I saw somebody wearing a shirt yesterday, Tuesday, down in San Diego at the Burger Lounge. It said, "It depends." And
nice.
I was in this conversation with my bosses, but I really wanted to be like, "Oh, can I take your picture?" But it's just not quite timing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, Jason Tucker needs this shirt. I kept staring at him. He probably thought I was a stalker. So I was like, does that really say it? Because the more he moved, like, how some of the things in the shirt aren't visible.
Well, as long as it didn't say, like, I wear Depends, that'd be a really weird.
So, what about secondary?
No doubt.
What about, like, secondary keywords?
Secondary keywords? Well, I mean, we're kind of talked a little bit about long tail, big head. Are you talking like chunky middle? Like,
you guys are just making this crap up at this point.
Chunky middle.
No, I'm not making it up.
Chunky middle?
I wish. Yeah, chunky middle.
Dude, that's it. You just described like almost all of the web developers in the WordPress space. They're all chunky middles. Are you talking?
Yes, I'm like, talking about my chunky middle.
Just something I remember from a whiteboard Friday. My buddy Rand.
All my girls like the chunky middle.
Oh. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I finally found like a graphic that explains what the heck the chunky middle is. Okay.
Oh, you weren't even joking.
It's for real.
Every time I think people are joking.
You got mustache, and you got handlebars, and you got all these different words for like these coding things, and then you end up with fat head, chunky middle, and long tail.
What's the mustache for coding thing? What is that?
Mustache and handlebars. It's for frameworks and for whole sorts of stuff.
Oh, okay. I thought we were
JavaScript
like,
and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought we were like going into like bears and twinks and.
I think
no. We're not getting into that
territory. But because he was explaining how a lot of times words have different names or different meanings. Like in construction, alligatoring can be when asphalt is, it's lost
Right.
asphaltness. It's no longer.
Yes.
It's cracked. It's damaged.
Does it get existential about it and be like, what do I do?
It's at the end.
What do I do with my life now?
DNR, and so, but that's not the same as an alligator handbag or alligators you see at the zoo or alligators that eat children at Disneyland parks.
Yes.
So context matters. And that's it. And
good job, John.
Great segue.
But you see what I'm saying? So you're mentioning that, like, a construction site, they could mention like alligatoring, and that's going to have like one meaning. But say if it's like a zoo like site, it has a totally different meaning.
Well, actually, there's alligatoring on pavement, alligatoring on the roof. So they're slightly different, but still.
Oh, I see.
Proceed.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, you talk about writing something, you'll have,
different meanings.
Yeah. And you're just, when you're writing something, you have that, supposedly you have that context, right? You like John's talking about, you write in a way that has supporting language. And so when someone's, doing a search for alligatoring, they might actually have to qualify that. But like if they do alligatoring, what is it? Was the searcher intent thing that they did, the hummingbird? Is that search intent? So,
yes.
Google tries to predict that context, right? So alligatoring, they may actually, let's see if it'll come up with the right thing. So alligate or...
I don't know if it's a sport or...
Well, Australia's awake now. They should be able to start telling us pretty soon here.
So it's actually, the first thing it comes up with is Benjamin Moore. So alligatoring doesn't just apply to asphalt, it applies to paint, the way it crackles and peels.
Yep.
And then a Wiktionary, and then a couple other definitions. And,
AskAroofer.com.
And then Sherwin-Williams. So it's like the paint people are on top of that. They've got some good SEO guys, right?
Better content marketers.
Dunn Edwards is there, right? So, but alligatoring is a very specific term.
I'm just throwing it out there because I can't remember the one that Rand had. But
great, Bridget. Great way to come up with a specific word when you're trying to get something ambivalent.
I'm like so tired right now.
So I'm still confused as what the chunky middle is. So it's the not so broadness, not so narrow.
Yes.
Like I don't.
As Bridget started talking about the secondary keywords. So you got your big words, right? Would be something like, paint, right?
Right.
Going back to, sorry, there's my bruise on my arm. Oh, yeah. I'm not a victim of domestic violence. No, I just enjoy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Nice. Okay.
Or enjoy. I guess that'd be a weird word to I get punished. So paint would be like just paint. That's just a huge keyword, right? Or painters, right? And then you get that chunky middle that's not quite. How do I apply paint to a aluminum rail, right? That would be kind of a long-term search or long tail search term, right? And then they got the chunky middle, which would be like how to paint, right? So you got kind of those. It's kind of like a gradual, kind of just kind of breaking it down into a few different ways to think of it.
So does that help with the keyword density? Like you don't need to say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in every single paragraph, right? You could just say, complementary phrases.
Yeah, well, it also depends on are you trying to be found for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Like what term are you trying to be found for? And then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu might show up 1 million times in a blog post, but never be found on like the first 100 pages of Google for that term, right? because you got, a number of things working, another number of factors working. Density is not just, density is just one of like over a couple hundred factors. So, yeah, density is definitely a factor. But when you're talking about that, you got to, factor in everything else.
Can you be overly dense?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Wait, where's your depends hashtag? Wait, where's your most certainly depend?
You need an 8-ball with all your answers,
right? So
Aaron McKay is Brazilian.
So we've talked a lot about like these terms and stuff, but like how do people use these things? Like, John, what are people doing to like, okay, now I got the chunky middle, now I got the big head, now I got the long tail. Now I know what these terms are, but how am I supposed to like am I rewriting content so that way I'm re-explaining that I have a hat shop, but I also sell baseball caps, but I really sell the Kansas City Royals baseball caps? Is that like what I'm doing here? Because I'm just trying to figure it out. I just write so that people will read my content, and if Google finds it, cool. But I don't want to like sit there and reiterate my content over and over and over again when all I'm just trying to tell people is something neat that I learned today, and I want to write about it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely a place for that as well. But if and it depends, like some keywords, whether they're chunky or long tail, some are going to be informational and some are going to be sales oriented. And it depends. Again, like your hashtag says, you don't want to reiterate your content, but you want to like plan out like what each page is going to be. If you've got an e-commerce site or, that's like a hat shop, or say you have a hat shop, you would want to, make that like prominent, somewhere like your homepage, say like it's a hat shop in the vicinity of San Diego. But you're going to have specific pages that say like, hey, we sell Kansas City Royals baseball caps. Or maybe you have a whole bunch of teams. Maybe you got the Dodgers, maybe you got the A's and the Angels. So you could have like a page where it's all the baseball caps, and then you could break it down like even further and say, here's these specific ones. It's organizing your content into categories that make sense, and organizing even like your blog posts into a way that makes sense. Google looks at like the structure of how your site is set up. And say you've got a blog, and I believe WordPress does this. They only use like one category per blog post because they're trying to give it a definition, like saying this fits specifically into this category. And if you notice, like WordPress has done that as well. In the most recent versions, it said if you try and select more than one category for a blog post, it'll say like, hey, do you want to make this one the primary subject or not? And again, that's because Google looks at how you organize your content. It's got to have a logical site structure as well. And so if you look at it in the context of that, you look at like all the things that you want to say, all the things you want to sell, how do you organize that? If you've got a post where you just want to like, talk about something, it's got to fall like under a certain like subheading. And is that like informational? Are you just saying like, here's something I just want to talk about, or here's something I just want to teach people? Or is this something that I want to sell people? Is this, am I pushing them toward taking an action, or am I just like, kind of pulling them into the funnel,
Yeah, I'm never trying to make any money off of anybody. I just write out content or create cool stuff, and hopefully people watch it and listen to it and check it out. And that's it. So for me, the payment that I make out of this stuff is to get people to read my content. So hopefully they'll learn something. And so
exactly.
And so because of that, the kind of, my definition of success in that is that people will see the content, read the content, and do something with the content. Hopefully share it with somebody else or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
but you are getting something. You're known for being helpful.
Right, exactly. And the good guys don't always win, but that's okay.
And that's really, that's the, the intent behind blogging and socially engaging with fans or strangers, people that are using your products, is being out there, being available, spreading information that's useful. And the intent is that at some point they do become customers, because they have a likeness to you. The whole adage of people needing to see you 7 times or something like that, right? You get in their brain, stuck in their brain, right, for the good reasons, of course. And they're likely to do business with you when they do need, your services. And I think that's the kind of what, people fall into, that, that death spiral of like, hey, work with me, right? They don't provide, they're using social media and blogging as a means, just to find work, and promoting themselves when they should be promoting ideas, thoughts, concepts on their blogs and their social followings.
Well, I'm never the correct example of any of this stuff because everybody else is trying to make money around me. So it's a totally different thing.
I mean, I don't for my own self. I do it shortcut so that if anybody says, well, why should I have or how do I set up a Facebook page? Oh, I have a nice and handy URL to send you.
Right.
Because I've already done that.
Because Bridget's just like me, and she doesn't want to explain stuff over and over again. She'd rather just do it once and then be able to have something to reference later.
For the world.
I don't want to do it once.
Like laziness. But so that brings up another subject, which is, does it help your domain authority if you repeatedly talk about a subject?
Man, I feel like every time we talk about SEO, I got to look up all these words.
They said not to talk about juice, so
there you go, Jason Tucker. It's your SEO juice. We're gonna get some SEO juice on you.
I mean, if I'm on BridgetWillard.com talking about social media, then all of a sudden I start talking about my favorite recipes for pizza.
Now Google's confused.
Yeah, now you become the pizza girl. No.
You too can make a pizza.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Now Google doesn't know what you're about. Because if you look, say for any subject, say if it's like construction, it's going to expect to see certain content keywords there, like kind of repeated throughout your site. It's going to expect to see certain pages like talking about construction, and it's going to say, what do other sites that are in construction industry talk about? They talk about roofing. They talk about landscaping. They talk about plumbing, electrician, architecture. All this type of stuff. And then if you go and talk about like your favorite recipe, it's like, okay, well maybe this site isn't about construction. So you've got to kind of like really, you can be a little bit broad, but you've got to keep it, centered around a central topic.
Well, so I want to kind of address something that you said, John, which is kind of, it's funny and it's not funny at the same time. The concept that Google knows something, right? That because you hear a lot of people say, well, Google doesn't know what your site's about, or Google knows what your site's about, or Google doesn't know what this page is about, blah, blah, blah. When we're talking about that, we're talking about an algorithm that returns queries based off, that returns blog posts and pages.
It's not how.
Based off of the query. Yeah. It's not a brain, right? We're dealing with a sentient being. There is like context in what you're returning, right? Or what you're querying, right? Context in the page that you're doing. But yeah, look, if you're doing a blog post and all you're talking about is pizza, then obviously what Google is going to return people, right? Or what when Google thinks about like that page, when that is in the index, it's predominantly about pizza. So it's not going to be returned for a query for something else.
So
it's like if pizza, yes. If
right.
something else, no. Right.
But that kind of confuses me a little bit because you always have these sites that they try to get involved in various like events that happen, like there's a disaster that happens someplace, or there's a political thing that's going on, or there's a whatever. And so these sites will start writing blog posts that try to make themselves relate to the thing that's happening, so that they get hopefully somebody's going to do a Google search on something to land to their site, so you'll learn about Skittles, even though the entire thing had to do with somebody getting mauled by a bear because they use a selfie stick. So they start talking about how great selfie sticks are or whatever. So it's like, how do you that kind of contradicts that entire thing though, because they're trying to be like relevant for the time, but they're I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I know they're trying to get links and trying to get people to come to the site, but shouldn't they also be confusing Google or the other search engines, just going like, I don't know what the heck we're talking about today. We're talking about pizza. And our site is all about construction workers. We hope that our construction workers really like Domino's Pizza. That's the only way you put them together.
Hang on. So you're thinking about the site as a one-dimensional thing, right? Whereas a site is it's a world, right? So a website is not just one thing; it's a complete and total world, right? You look at, like Aaron brought up BuzzFeed. You got like news sites, CNN, BBC. You got all these, sites. Talk to Yoast. I think he worked with one of the Herald or something like that. Back in, or I don't know, some big news site. Yeah. He can go into a little bit more deeper discussion on this, but your website's not a one-dimensional thing. A lot of people think it is, and so they'll here's a really good kind of an example, right? A lot of people will think that they use the same keyword over the whole site, then the site will rank better, right? So if you think of we've been using San Diego, so San Diego wedding photographer, and a lot of people will use that on multiple pages, including blog posts. Every blog post they write, San Diego wedding photographer. I'm a San Diego wedding photographer. I love being a San Diego wedding photographer, right? But when Google's returning results, it's a page-specific thing, right? You can't return a whole website. You can't here you go, here's a whole website. No, your keywords will return your one page. Typically on a website, unless you get some really weird niche-y, keyword, right? For a while I had back in Austin, I had austinheadshots.com, and I had 8 pages because no one else had Austin headshots, right? So back when that sort of thing worked,
right?
Just for having the domain,
right?
But no, it's a page-specific phenomenon, searches, not a site-specific phenomenon.
So that's the page authority, not the domain authority?
Right, yeah. So you have two different types of authority, right? Domain authority is how strong your, kind of like your brand, right? How many links coming into your whole site, how well you're known online, that sort of thing. And then your page authority is an indication of how strong your page is based off of incoming links. Strong links, the number of links, is it Apple linking to you, or is it, I don't know, some schmo, who has a blog.
TijuanaPhotographer.com.
What's that?
TijuanaPhotographer.com. RosaRedaBeachPhotographer.com.
Hey, I happen to know some incredibly fantastic and skilled wedding photographers in Tijuana.
No, so. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's not San Diego.
No, that doesn't really mean, that doesn't make a difference. So whether someone links to me from San Diego or, British Columbia, it's still a link.
Right.
Yeah.
I would argue, I get what you're saying, yes. There are page-specific results. But I would argue that Google does have a good sense of what a site is about, not only from the content keywords, but also from the sites that are linking to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that gets into the refinement of the authorities, right?
Yep.
Like the refinement of authority. Like, is it, like a CPA linking to a photographer? Okay, well, we're not going to give it a lot of weight, maybe, unless it's, is it the Professional Photographers of America linking to you? Okay, we should probably give that a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that a lot of sites link to that site.
A lot of other photographers, the PPA is probably, one of the, higher authority, sites when it comes to photography.
Sorry. It's not just quantity of links, though. It's the relevance of the links to the site.
Oh, okay.
Because you can stockpile, and now this worked, and this still does work for some people for now. You can stockpile links, just any old links.
Link or like a blog roll? What kind of links are these? What are they called?
I'm saying like links, you whatever, build links back to your site. You can get any old links.
To you.
Yeah, but if it's just like, not relevant links, if it's, stuff that has nothing to do with what you're talking about on your site, it's going to have less authority than, say, if, somebody from within your industry or your subject matter is linking to you. That's going to have a lot more relevance. Those are the types of links that you want to get.
Would that include commenting on other people's blogs?
Comments are usually no follow. I mean, yeah, I would say this. A lot of people do build links through comments. But say if you put your name, Bridget Willard, and you want to get a whole bunch of links back to WordPress,
mm-hmm.
that link is going to be, for the most part, it's going to be a no follow. Very rare cases, it'll be a follow link, but 99 times out of 100, it's a no follow. So you're not going to get any of the juice back to your site.
Oh, I love it.
But the one thing that you can do is it's going to raise awareness of people within that are also reading that blog. If they keep seeing your name, they're going to say, okay, this is another person maybe that they have some authority in this subject matter because they keep seeing their name on this blog and that blog, and they're all kind of the same blog. So this person is somehow connected to this industry and this community.
So
if that makes sense.
To guest post than to comment?
Yeah. So sorry, what was that, Bridget?
Is it better to write a guest post on a blog instead of commenting? Is that a better?
It's always good. It's always good to guest post. For sure. But I wouldn't say that commenting is bad. If you're just going to any old site that, if you get something like ScrapeBox and you say, here's all the sites where there's just tons of comments, there's usually about 800 comments there already with people putting stuff like San Diego plumber, hey, that was great. Boom. San Diego photographer, San Diego electrician, love this. Boom. And they're just doing it for the link. And Google actually knows hey, everybody has gone to this site to comment to just get the link. So we're gonna devalue any link from this site anyway, from that page or this site, because people are just running roughshod all over it. Again, it just comes down to relevance. If you're on a site that it has some relevance to what you're talking about, then yeah, by all means comment. If you're contributing the conversation, and that's it. Just think about what would you do in real life? And that's what you should do for SEO. What would you do in real life? Would you go to just some random site and leave a comment? You wouldn't. So why would you do that online?
Yeah, so I'll talk to you a little bit more about comment, comment links, comment spam, and all that. Erin, brought up a couple things while she was in the feed here. So 2012 Penguin came along and really, I don't know, screwed things up or made things better depending on who you are and which side you were on. But yeah, comment. So there were I mean, and I know people, and I participated in this for a while, that were part of circles that would disable the nofollow aspect on your comments as a way to get links. And this was, really rampant in the photography circles, actually. A lot of friends would, comment on other people's blog posts, get links back to theirs. I mean, just hundreds, some thousands of links that, would go back to their site, and they were all nofollow, or they were all followed links at that point. And then, yeah, Penguin started kind of making its way through the different, multiverses there, and people started. It wasn't like right away everyone just got shut off, but like over time, people just got booted out of the index, and it caused a big problem for a lot of people. Some have just not been able to recover, even though after, I don't know, like it was maybe 2013, I started saying, hey guys, this is starting to affect people. You guys need to actually like start to enable the nofollow, pull all those plugins that you guys have, so that you're not getting hit by this anymore. And it's still impacting people. I mean, people are still just totally jacked up.
So is that default setting in the WordPress comments?
It's a WordPress default to be nofollowed by comments, because they, everyone, like it was Blogger, LiveJournal, like a couple of the other, other blogging platforms out there. Like, okay, let's have these things not, like we don't want to, the people that are writing this, we don't want them to automatically endorse whoever's on the other side of that link, right? Whoever's saying, hey, nice blog post, you jerk, or whatever. You don't want to automatically endorse that person's website, because you don't know who that could be, right? So that's why they kind of initiated that nofollow rule. And that was, Jay, do you have any idea when they started that? Like 2008 or so, when they started initiating
nofollow
on WordPress?
Yeah. It was a while back, but it makes sense, because it's not content that you're creating yourself. It's content that the public is creating. I mean, that's what happens with Blab here. We have a plugin that will ingest all of this content that happens in the chat, and it actually throws it into the comments, knowing that all those links that are in there are all going to be set to nofollow.
Right.
So for the people that don't understand exactly what that means.
Yeah. So nofollow.
Clearly, I click on it and it goes somewhere. Yeah. So what does nofollow mean?
So we talked a little bit about authority, right? And like how your authority is built up by other people to your site and your pages, right? So the nofollow means that you're not passing that authority on. It's
instructions for Google.
Yes. It says
like Google, robots text or something.
Google, I'm gonna link to this person, but I'm not endorsing their site. I don't want, like, I'm not. This isn't a vote, right?
Okay.
Whereas if you like writing a blog post and you say, hey, jasontucker.com, really cool guy, blah blah blah. You write a whole blog post about him. Here's his link, right? Yeah, that's an endorsement because it's in the content. It's like. You're not putting rel nofollow, anything on it like that, right? But in your comments or anywhere else where you put nofollow, you say, I don't want to endorse this person. I don't want to say anything about him. This is just a link so people can go.
Okay, that makes more sense to me because I keep hearing it a lot. Like, what does this mean? I click on it, it goes somewhere, it's blue.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the difference between having people, you wanting people to do things on your site versus the search engines. You're wanting to instruct the search engine, hey, I didn't actually create this content that it's linking off to. I don't want to provide, SEO juice
That makes
to
so
that
much
site.
sense.
Aaron, continuing with the SEO juice and thing, Aaron says it's the condom for the link.
Oh
So
my
you don't-
gosh. Prophylactic. Well, that
Wait.
actually does make a lot more sense to me now. I hate to say it, but yeah.
It's your link
And-
condom. Yeah.
And the thing is that there's plugins that will actually do all that for you. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to go and spend the time to go through all your content and do it, you could actually install a plugin that just says every time you create a link, make sure this thing has a nofollow attached to it, and you don't have to do anything, and it just does it.
Yeah, but like endorsing other sites is a good thing, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's I like to call it link. I like to call it something. I totally forgot the word for it. But
you look through one of your old.
Yes, my old age.
Benevolence.
Like what is it? Once you do something, good comes back.
Altruistic. Karma.
Yes, link karma.
I'm just a thesaurus now.
Oh, link karma can't be a good
Sounds
one.
like-
Some SEO people are gonna be all pissed about that.
Yes,
Two words.
it's a less controversial term than
And juice.
SEO juice. Yes, yeah. It doesn't sound as disgusting or pornographic. But no, like you link to other people.
Oh
You link to other people, and that's just like it's being cool, Like
Makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. What I think
I'm gonna have to write a song about SEO juice. So
On your ukulele.
SEO juice, SEO juice, such a wonderful man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my god.
Well, we are closing in on the 9 o'clock hour. We've talked a lot about SEO juice. We talked a lot about search engine optimization. Where can people find you, William, and where can people find you, John? John, go for it. Tell us where people can find you and where they can get information about what you do and how you do it and what things are available that you provide.
Sure thing. You can find me on my site, lockdowndesign.com. And basically, I help businesses building custom WordPress sites, helping them rank, helping them get their business making some money from their website. William, tell us how people can get a hold of you and what you do.
Nice.
First, I want to know, aren't you, like, is your office in the hatch with Jack and Sawyer and Kate and Hurley?
Something about Lost.
Yeah, did you ever watch Lost? Oh,
He's like, yes,
I've never watched it, but I know what you're referencing.
Okay. And you're like, I get it all the time, you asshole. You can reach me. I'm like hardly ever on Twitter, maybe once a year. You catch me on. Yeah. You catch me at flauntYourSite.com or on Facebook, William Bahia Bay. And since Aaron is Brazilian, that's with an H in it, since it's the Spanish spelling, not the Brazilian spelling or the Portuguese spelling. And oh, look, she lives in Bahia. How cool is that? So
we're connecting worlds.
Yes, we are. Yeah, that's William at flauntYourSite.com. That's FLAUNT, flauntYourSite.com.
Awesome. Folks, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. We are still doing that contest, so make sure you go click on the links over on the over in the chat if you want to do that and go take a look at all that stuff. Make sure you go to our website at WPwatercooler.com. Click on the links there to subscribe. And if you go over to WPwatercooler.com/WPblab, that's where all of the WP Watercooler stuff is there. So, yes, definitely WPwatercooler.com/giveaway. It'll be up until we deem a winner, and then we'll go from there. See you, folks. You have a good rest of your night.
Winners.
See ya.
Winners.
Bye.
See ya.